Hey guys, it's Jake here with eTrailer. Today we have a 2017 GMC Sierra 1500, and we're going to be taking a look at, I'm going to show you how to install the Roadmaster base plate. Your five main components in order to flat tow your vehicle are going to be your tow bar, which is the direct connection between the motorhome and your vehicle, the base plate, which is going to be your physical connection to your vehicle, your diode wiring, which is going to give you your lighting signals at the back of your towed vehicle, the supplemental braking system, which helps to stop the vehicle behind the motorhome so the motorhome doesn't have to do all the work. And then finally, your safety cables. These are going to come into play in an unlikely disconnect. These will hold on to the vehicle so that you can come to a safe and slow stop. Adding a base plate to the front of your GMC Sierra 1500 is going to allow you to flat tow it behind your motorhome. This is going to be a sure connection to the front of your vehicle so that you can connect your tow bar up and then connect your tow bar to your RV. I really liked how this kit ended up turning out. It is a lot of work to be able to remove everything. You'll have to remove your bumper, this trim balance, and the grill in order to get the this base plate tabs in place, because they will take the place of your tow loops, but in order to get back there to drill a hole, you have to take those things off. Not a huge deal. You only have to drill 2 holes, one on each side, but other than that, it just bolts right up into place. When you're not flat towing your Sierra, you can simply pop these pins out. If you pair it with a non-binding tow bar, no matter how your vehicle is sitting, you'll be able to pop these arms, get those removed. You can take your safety cables, get those off. And then the last thing you have to do, you can leave these on if you want. I would recommend, just in case anybody gets sticky fingers, take those out, and this is all that's left on the front of your truck. Now this is going to come with your integrated safety cable loops. You saw when I unhooked it, it's very easy to get safety chains of many different sizes and styles connected. And then on this other side, this is something kind of unique to Roadmaster system, and that is, this is a locking tab. So if you don't want to have to take these ends off, if you just want to unhook your tow bar from your vehicle and drive around town for the weekend and then hook right back up and not have to worry about storing these anywhere, get yourself a padlock. You can throw that in there, leave it connected, and you don't have to worry about these arms going anywhere. Now, as we said before, the install is a little bit more involved, but as long as you follow along with me, I'm going to show you where every screw and fastener is in order to get this thing taken apart so we can get those base plate tabs on. With that being said, let's go ahead and pull it in the shop and we'll show you how we got it done. To begin our installation, we're going to need to take out a few screws out of our wheel wells. We're going to have a 7mm head bolt and a T15 Torx bit screw right back here that we'll have to take out to pull this fender liner away, or this wheel well liner away, in order to access another 7mm bolt. So here's our T15 Torx bit screw. We'll pop that out. And here's our 7mm screw. That gives us enough space to pull this out of the way. And then that other screw that we need to get to is up in this little cavity right here. Now under our hood, we're going to have some pushpin fasteners that are attaching this big plastic piece to the front of our grill. We'll have to take all of those off. Pry the center out. If a screwdriver is not working for you, you may have to pick up a trim panel tool, which we do have on our website. That will help you to pop the center out, and then you go in and pop the base out. Now we'll take this piece off once we get all those fasteners out and just set it to the side. Now behind our front grille, we're going to have 2 10mm bolts. They're going to be really hard to see. One here and one here. Let's take a 10mm wrench and get those removed. Now we're going to need to remove this trim piece. We're going to have 4 clips on the inside of our bumper piece here that are holding it on, but you need to get this popped loose by the fender before you can get any of those loosened. So we'll start here at the edge, and we'll just want to pull this fender back, or this fender flare back, and pry on this edge of this plastic piece and hope to pop it off. We pop that loose, and then as you start prying out on it, you'll see these little black tabs on the inside. Sometimes it helps to have a trim panel tool to push down on those in order for them to release a little bit easier. And you can see we just tape off these seams so that we don't cause any harm to either of these painted surfaces. There we go. We'll just start prying back on this. And then this is when we're going to have to reach up behind there and pop those clips loose so we can keep pulling this trim piece off. Now those clips that we were talking about, you are going to have the 4 in the center that you can access from reaching up behind the bumper, but we're going to have 1 on each side right by this curvature, about where your grill ends. We'll just have to take our screwdriver, reach up in here, and pop that loose while we pull out. There we go. We'll just pry that loose, and now we can go along each one of our other ones, reach up in there, and start popping those loose. Well, once you get your last tab removed, it should loosen up that whole piece. And we can take it off. And don't be surprised if these try to re-clip themselves like ours just did. There is one more sneaky one right behind here, but you can see that one up from behind. So we'll take this piece and set it to the side. Now, in order to remove our grill, we'll have 2 more 10mm bolts, one here, and 4 on the top. And those 2 10mm that we removed earlier from right here, they're probably a lot easier to get to from the outside. So if you wait to remove that trim, they'll be right there for you to remove, so you don't have to get them from behind. We'll take a 10mm socket and get these taken out. Now we should be able to just lift up on this. There's little clips up on top that are holding it in. Once we get them all popped loose, the grill will come right off and you set it to the side. Underneath our bumper, we'll have these bumper supports. We'll have to take a 15mm socket and remove these bolts from either side. Now behind our bumper, we'll have this wiring harness we'll have to remove. Pop that little red tab and then push the little black tab there and disconnect it. Now this harness here was right inside this hole, so you just want to pop it out. Just make sure that it stays with the vehicle, because we're going to have to take our bumper off. Now we'll take an 18mm socket. There's going to be 2 bolts on the top right up here. We'll have to remove those, and then the bumper can come off. You'll definitely want an extra person to help you with this because it can be kind of heavy. Now we can take a 15mm socket and remove these 3 bolts that are holding this plate on. Set that to the side for now. Now we're going to have these 2 18mm head bolts that we'll have to take out. This one is going to be in a threaded portion on the inside of our toe loop, and this one goes all the way through. Now we'll take that bolt, pull it out, and we can set our toe loops to the side because we will not be reinstalling them. Now we're going to take our base plate ends. You'll want to make sure that the safety chain loop is on the top and towards the outside of the vehicle. You'll notice the weld nut will be on top also. So we'll take this, we're going to slide it into place. It should line up pretty well once you push it back all the way with that seated. And then we'll take the large, shorter nut or bolt that comes in our kit, put some Loctite on it, use a split lock washer and the big flat washer. We're going to run it up underneath and thread it into the bottom of our base plate tab. Now we're going to take one of our longer bolts that comes in the kit, take one of these spacer washers. You can notice that it'll have the little cutout in it. That'll be to accommodate for this cross brace in our frame. We'll take that, slide it over our bolt. We're going to slide it in the outside of our frame rail. And you want to leave that bolt underneath, hand tight for now, until we get our hardware in place. I will take another one of those spacer washers, a split lock washer, and then a nut. And you want to use red Loctite on all of this hardware. It just helps to hold the hardware in place. We are going to torque all this down, but things can happen and stuff does vibrate loose, and that's what the red Loctite's for. We'll take this. I'm going to leave it swung out of the way in the downward position because we have to drill out this hole. Now we're going to take a 1/2-inch drill bit. We're going to go through this hole here on the outside of our frame rail and come out on the other side. Now we're going to take our other longer bolt, slide it through the hole we just drilled, and come out on the other side through our bracket. Now we may have to make some adjustments to this bracket if it doesn't come through. What you can do is just take your drill. It'll just shave off a little bit of that hole, allow us to pop that bolt through. Follow it up with our hardware. Now we'll take a 19mm wrench and socket and tighten this hardware down. Now we can use a 15/16 socket and tighten down that bolt that we inserted vertically under here. Now we're going to take that same 1/2-inch drill bit and drill a hole right here in the bottom in this brace to make room for our hardware. Now we're going to take our 1/2-inch bolt that comes in our kit, put some red Loctite on it, throw it in that hole we just drilled, then take your square spacer block, slide it on the back, followed by a split lock washer and your nut. Then we come back and tighten it down. Now we'll come back with the torque wrench and torque all of our hardware to the specifications in your instructions. If you don't have a torque wrench, you can typically rent them from your local auto parts store, or if you got a friend, or you can pick one up off our website. Now once we're done with our base plate, we can turn our attention to our bumper. These spots where our toe loops came out, our recovery loops, we'll have to notch out some of this plastic so that our new base plate ends are going to fit through it. You can check in your instructions for a more accurate example of how we're supposed to cut this, but essentially we're going to put little slant edges on the sides and then cut about a 1/4 inch from the top and bottom. Now we're going to take a razor blade and just come back and trim off any of these little plastic pieces. Now with an extra set of hands, once you have your bumper plates back up, we'll take our bumper, slide it over our base plate, and back up into place. Now you want to look up in your owner's manual of the vehicle to make sure that you're torquing your bumper bolts back to the specifications in the manual. Now at this point, you can reconnect your bumper, that plug on the back, put your 2 bolts back in the corner braces, and then put your grill back the way that we took it off. If you have to install the rest of your flat toe components, like your braking system or your wiring for your diodes in the back, I highly recommend doing that now while you have all of this stuff off, because it's going to be a lot easier to run your wiring down and behind the bumper. We're going to end up attaching all of those items on the bottom of this bumper, so having the grill off is really going to help us run those wires. We'll go ahead and run that, and then we'll come back and put everything back on. Once you get everything all buttoned up, that's going to do it for the installation. Well guys, hopefully this video helped you decide whether or not the Roadmaster Direct Connect baseplate is right for you in your 2017 GMC 1500.